thing with money. A lot of us don't really understand it. We think we know it, but we don't really understand it. And there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to making money, keeping money, growing money, all of that kind of thing. That's not exactly what we're going to deal with in this video. I just want you to know that the way you handle money, no matter how small you are making right now, no matter how little, even if you think you are making $0 right now, there's a way in which you manage the money in your hands that plays a big role in how you are securing your bag.
Okay, so as I was saying, when we are growing up, the conversation of money is not really, I don't even think our parents knowingly do not talk about money. It's just taboo. I don't know what it is. I don't even think there's an effort to not tell your kids about money. I think it's just them not knowing any better, not knowing that if they are more open and honest with how money is spent around the house, it'll also create less expectations from the children, asking for ridiculous things that your parents just cannot afford. Not saying, we need to know how much our parents earn, but I just think starting that conversation earlier makes it so much easier to teach your children how to, use their money as well, how to spend, how to save, how to invest, and things of that nature. As an adolescent, let me say adolescent, from age 16 to 20, this is where I think financial literacy should start. I honestly think it should start in high school with basic concepts, understanding, and practical real life explanations. Because I took commerce and I learned what interest was in the textbook. I still didn't understand what interest meant in real life. What is interest? What do you mean by a loan? All these things made no sense to me in high school because practically speaking, I couldn't wrap my head around me getting a loan, paying interest. What does that even mean? So I think the best thing one can do between the ages of 16 and 20 is self-educate. Because unfortunately, our education system does not cater to financial literacy. And I think it should be part of life skills. Life skills is a subject that is taught from grade 8 to grade 12. And nowhere do they talk about how to handle your money like an adult. And it's like, what do you think is going to happen when we're done studying and we start working? Exactly. And we all make the same mistakes. And it doesn't matter because I studied commerce. I have a whole degree in finance, but I still make the same mistakes because practically speaking, I had no idea how to deal with money. Imagine getting your first paycheck and it's just like, whoo, you think you're rich. And that's literally what happened. So I think from the ages of 16 and 20, I would say open a bank account in your own name, practically. Like I'm talking practically. I don't want to sit here and define terms and, define concepts. And now you're like, okay, now I know what inflation is. Now what? Open a bank account and have your checking account and have a savings element on it. I know with FNB, you can link accounts to your main checking account. And that way you can have a savings and you can just start putting money there slowly, learning that if you want something, you have to save for it. There is delayed gratification. You can't just run to the store and get credit and use it as you wish. It's not your money. So I think that's the best way to learn, to just instill discipline in the habit of money coming in and me saving, and then it goes out when I'm ready to spend that money, when I have reached my savings target or whatever the case may be. So even parents can do this for their kids. When you give them an allowance, don't give it to them in cash. This 50 Rand or 500 Rand, however much your allowance is, cash. You don't get paid in cash. Understand how the money goes through the banking system and how you transfer it, how to actually adult. How to adult is just basic practical things that you can only learn yourself when you're doing it. So I think that will really help in just teaching you how to prepare for certain purchases by actually saving and seeing money move around in your account. The second thing I would say, and which is really important, every personal finance person will always say this, and this lesson must be learned now when you're young, pay yourself first. The first thing you must do before you start spending your money, save it. Save it. So if you've gotten 500 Rand, that's your allowance as a 16-year-old, 100 Rand, put it away. Yeah. It's for yourself in future. You might not have a goal for it right now, and I think also that's the thing when we're young. We're like, saving for what? What am I saving for? I have no idea. But just put it away. Put it away, and one day you're gonna need it because you can't just get all the money and finish it all in a month. Like you need a buffer. Should something come up? Should mom and dad say, you know what? We don't have money. You're not getting an allowance this month. Whatever the case may be, you'll be like, you know what? It's fine actually. So pay yourself first. This is the golden rule of finance, learn it, live by it. So if you have also a big purchase in mind, set a goal that has two dimensions: how much money you'll need and when you'll need the money. Then figure out how often you can save towards this goal and how much you need to put away. And if it'll take you 12 months to reach your goal, then let it take 12 months to reach your goal.
Yeah.
So just we need to learn early on. These are just basic things. Those two rules. Pay yourself first, open a bank account, and start saving.
Yeah.
I think between the ages of 20, we're still our children, our parents' problem, really. So there's you always have a fallback plan, but teach yourself these things. And the one book I recommend for this kind of age group when you're just starting out, Nicolette Machine's book, What's Your Move? It's a great book. It's very basic, and you know the way if you watched a few of her YouTube videos, she's very down to earth and relatable, and I think that's also the way she writes. She makes it very easy to understand somewhat complex topics. So as a beginner stage, this is the one to go with. Okay, do you have any questions? I've been rambling.
No, it's okay. So you mentioned that it's important that we self-educate, right? And I think that even in that, within that, people will still have some kind of maybe challenge or difficulty understanding what that means, because I think in general, we know that, okay, if you put your money in the bank, there's some kind of interest that happens with the bank. We're not even sure like if it's 1% or 2%. And then we have all of these like terminologies and all the concepts of compound and compound interest and over 5 years, like all of these things are happening, and it's very complex. And I've also found that people really do have a kind of fear towards money, like they're scared of money. You're scared of talking about money, even amongst friends. You're scared of being the one who's like the money conscious person all the time, like, oh, how much is that? Are we gonna split the bill? Are we gonna do this? How do we get over that perspective of money is this big thing? And then you also think about billionaires and millionaires and all of these motivational speakers who go on like, oh, money is just a piece of paper, it's just a tool, it's just this, and they say it like it's nothing. But for us it's like, oh, because you have a lot, obviously you can say that, but we have nothing, we have zero. How do we stop looking at money in that, putting it on a pedestal, so to speak?
Okay, with this one, I think let me talk about, say, what you mentioned about the being in a group of friends and you're like the one who's trying to get your money right and be savvy, and people are just like, spend. Sometimes we just need to be honest with our friends. Like, listen, right now for the next year and a half, I'm trying to get my money straight. I've been spending recklessly. I'm trying to sort out my finances. So sometimes I'll say, oops, I can't come. I don't, because now you got to pay for yourself. And you're like, well, I didn't budget to just randomly go to lunch. Unless the friend who's inviting you is saying, no, babe, come, I'm going to pay for you. So I think just being honest. There's this perception that we have to put on for other people. You have to be like, yeah, I got it, even though your bank account is saying, no, girl, you do not got it. Listen, I've been there, done that, okay? Because it's like, you have a job, you seem to be doing well, so people invite you out, but you're like, this is the last $500 and I still need to get to work for the rest of the month, but you want to be in. Guys, just be honest. And if your friends cannot handle your honesty, you need new friends. I don't think it's a bad thing to really be like, I'm trying to get my finances right. Yeah. What could possibly be the negative connotation in saying, no, guys, this is not in my budget. I have a budget and this is not in my budget. So if you have budgeted for a certain amount to have fun and be with your friends, once it's done, it's done. Stay home and read a book. Read a book about personal finance. And rich people, when I'm talking rich people, I'm talking about like millionaires and billionaires. It's very annoying when they say money cannot buy you happiness and money is nothing. And I'm like, yeah, me too. If I had that kind of money, I'd also say that. It is, listen here, money is everything. Let's not try and front. Let's not try and pretend. Yeah. Money makes the world go round. And it's very easy to say money is not important when money is not important in your life. Imagine having $1 billion. Would you wake up thinking about money? No. So it's just so unrealistic and really, really bad. It's one of the things I have mentioned, because I don't know if you noticed, but I'm starting like a Women in Money series.
Nice.
And that's one of the things I was thinking about. I'm like, when you go and attend a seminar and they're like women empowerment and talking about our money, and then they bring you a CEO, I'm like, oh, I can't relate, man. I know you're not earning what I'm earning. Cannot relate. Now the CEO is trying to tell me how to manage, and I know very well they're getting like $1 million bonuses. I'm like, oh, it needs to be more relatable. It needs to speak to me.
Yeah.
Me right now, where I'm earning, where I was earning back then, it makes it more authentic and easier to apply. Okay. So I think what we really need is just honesty amongst each other and talking about money amongst our friends. Like, friend, how are you budgeting? Like, what's happening? What app are you using? What are you doing? Like, let's talk about money. I don't understand why it's such a taboo thing. Money is awesome, and making more money and saving money, who doesn't want the tips?
Exactly.
Yes. But I will say one of the biggest things I've realized when dealing with a few clients that I have on my coaching is unemployment is real. Okay, in Namibia, South Africa, unemployment is real. So I do get that somebody will be 25 and they're still like, listen, I like your content, I like what you're saying, but still can't relate because I am a 25 and still haven't found a job. I'm still struggling. And I always struggle as to how I can help a person who's in that situation, because been there, and I'm just always like, how can I tell somebody to manage their finances and save when they're like, I have nothing. You know, I'm still living in my parents' house. I still get a small stipend, or I do a side hustle here and there. So all my money is used productively, and I cannot save, I cannot invest. So I always try and be sensitive of the fact that, we have a serious unemployment problem.
Yeah.
So that I'm gonna find a way as I think and deal with it in my content as how to address that. Yeah. Just be more sensitive to that, because telling people money is not important is not the answer.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to get into your channel and your Instagram handle. How did you come up with that, secure her bag? Like, what was the motivation behind that?
Okay, secure her bag was started last year in May, right in the middle of lockdown. I was like, so bored, nothing to do. And I'm like, well, I studied, I have all this knowledge, I have all this information. Like, I want to share, I want to do something with my time. Because here's a little backstory. I started my career right out in Namibia for a small investment firm. I worked there for about 3 years. And then I was like, oh, I'm married, I'm going to my husband in South Africa. Peace out, right? Quit my job and left. Youth. Right? And then I got here, and now you are in a bigger pool of talent. You are all fighting for, like, it's not just, the Namibian population of graduates fighting for the job. It's like, imagine South African population. And also, for a while, legally, while sorting out my papers and visas, I can't work. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, bored. So I did my postgraduate diploma in financial planning, because I was like, I can't just sit here doing nothing. So when I finished it, it was just around lockdown. And I'm like, I must get this information out there. There's just so much that we don't know. And Secure Her Bag is just what is it? It's like my love for women and women empowerment and all things like girl support. So I have always, when I first started the platform, it's always been about women. I want to have conversations with women. I want women to feel empowered to actually think about their money for themselves. Because this is also something that I fell into. I moved to South Africa. My husband is the breadwinner. And so I'm like, oh, I don't have to worry about money. He's handling everything. And so I just forgot that I am an individual. I have autonomy over my money and my decisions. And now it's like our money. And our money is great when you're married, but you have to have yours, his, our. And that's where I got lost. So I said, we tend to give up so much of our power in that way, because we come from our parents' house, the parents handle the money. You go to varsity, the parents handle the money. You get a job, you handle your money for like a little bit before you get married. And then your husband, now it's our money again. And now you can just sit back and be like, oh, babe, what must we do with our money? Where must we put our money? And I just thought, nah, man, everybody needs to have their own and be able to actually make decisions about their own money, like informed decisions. So Secure Her Bag came out of my love for money and for women. And in educating women. So that's how it started. And it's been fun. It's been quite a ride.
So what are your like life hacks when it comes to money? Because there's so many expenses that we go through in life, or that we have to go through in life. For example, a wedding, buying a car, buying a house, and you get, I always hear people's tips and tricks, and it's always like, yeah, if I had known that when I was 20, I could have had and so by now. So what are your tips? For example, something like from the first day from the first paycheck that you have, you need to start saving for your wedding, something, or like your house or something like that. Like, do you have any kind of life hacks like that as well with regards to?
Yes, I do. Of course, my computer froze. Okay, so here's the thing. This is the age group of 20 to 25. That's where you are, because now you just finished varsity. You're probably getting into an internship or some kind of graduate equivalent, first job, whatever the case may be. You have to build an emergency fund. And one thing people don't realize is an emergency fund will save your behind. So this is the first thing you must do the moment you get a job, the moment you start earning money. Okay. So what it is really is you save a certain portion of your salary to be able to build up a war chest, a buffer. Should something happen, should you lose your job, should you have some kind of health emergency, you're aiming to save about 6 months to 12 months of your expenses. So whatever your expenses are in a month, times it by 12 or 6 and save that money. And it doesn't have to be a bunch of money every month. Just little by little, grow it little by little. You never know when you will need it. Because people get retrenched. You know what COVID did to us. You get sick, your car bursts tire, whatever the case may be. There's a funeral at home and now you gotta contribute or do something. It's always these things that you never think could possibly happen that happen, and now you need money. And you cannot work as somebody who just started their first job. You've been working for 2 years, 3 years, and you're one paycheck away from being broke. What have you been doing with your money? You have to put money aside. An emergency fund is like number one on your list of things when you start earning a steady income. Don't compromise, don't start other things, don't go shopping, don't open a store clothing account, don't take out credit, build your emergency fund. Because also the thing is, if your emergency fund is nice and healthy, you won't need things on credit. This thing of buying things on credit, don't do it. I did it. Okay, this is probably like rule number 2, do not buy things on credit. You just started working. I know the banks, everybody's offering you a credit card. You go to a clothing store and they're like, you qualify for 10,000. You go here, you qualify for 50,000. You're like, oh, I don't even earn that much.
Yeah.
Don't take anything on credit. I fell into that one. I got a clothing account because I love shopping and I like treating myself once I've been paid. Lesson learned. You don't need to treat yourself just because you got paid and you worked. So don't get a clothing account. And this is the thing, if you from teenage years to about where you are now, maybe you're 20, 25, if you have been reading and educated, you will understand what credit is. What interest is when you take out credit, what the repayment terms are and what will happen should you default. And if you have really been taking your time to read and understand and educate, you will not want any of that. And my thing is, just don't get anything on credit. And I know it's difficult. I know there are certain things, obviously, if you're going to buy a house, if you're going to buy a car, that tends to happen. But save for a deposit. Save for a deposit for a car, save for a deposit for a house. It'll help decrease your repayments every month. And it'll help also just pay off the debt quicker, which is what you want to do. Paying off a debt quicker actually reduces the interest on the debt. So you pay less than what was projected because you just finished it off. So also at this age, you want to start investing. And this is a sticky one. It's a weird one because people hear investing and they're like, ooh, where do I even start? I'm so lost. Where to go? Okay, I'm not asking you to become an asset manager. You don't need to start trading stocks. Okay, what you need to do is find a good, reliable asset manager yourself. Go around, shop around, call around. Who gives you the best service and who answers your questions properly? This is my 2 things when you're shopping for asset managers. Service. Are they kind? Do they pick up your call? Are they not like dodging you about your money? It's like, it's your money. You're getting a statement. You know what I mean? regulation wise they have to do these things, but service, the way people speak to you, because I think one thing that has kept Black people from approaching asset managers and investing is we think it's for rich people. We think, oh no, that's not for us. It's, you know, and so we don't even just pick up the phone or inquire and be like, hey, you know, I see you have this and this, how can I put my money there? So we have a variety of asset managers in Namibia. You know, call Alan Gray, call Prudential, call Prescient, call there's Satrix. Satrix is in South Africa, but it's also available for Namibian investors on the Namibian Stock Exchange. You can literally just send them an email and be like, listen, I am a Namibian citizen. I want to invest in your funds. And I like Satrix, I like One Invest, I like Signia because they are low cost. So what we have a lot of in Namibia are high cost active asset managers. So they tend to be a little bit more expensive in terms of fees, but you do have access to asset managers in Namibia, in South Africa, who are cheaper as a Namibian citizen because we are part of the common monetary area. Yes, so it's just a matter of doing a little bit of due diligence and learning. Don't be afraid to be the only one doing something. You understand? Like people are like, well, we just put our money in a 32-day account. That's what people do, and I'm always like, that's not an investment. So investing, I always say this, take this one. Investing happens with asset managers. Investing does not happen in banks. Investing does not even, this one I get in trouble for, does not even happen at insurance companies. Because they tend to be more expensive. So if you go into an insurance company like Sanlam or Old Mutual to do your investing, they will be a small higher premium on what you're paying because those are insurance companies. And I just say separation of duties. Separate your duties. Go to an insurance company for insurance. Go to an asset manager for management, for your investments. So you don't have to do it yourself. You don't have to choose which stocks, which bonds, no. Walk into an asset management office and just be like, listen, this is what I have. This is my goal. This is what I'm trying to save for and invest for. I need this money in 10 years time or 5 years time. What are your best funds? What can you offer me? Start investing. Take the plunge. I'm telling you, you will not regret it. And you will learn as you go. This thing of being too scared to put your feet in, like, oh, what if I lose my, you will never do it if you're too scared. Get your money in there. When you have your money in something, you are invested in learning how it works. That's also the thing.
That's true.
Yes. Also one thing, start thinking about retirement. And I know it's like way far off. You don't even have to know what it looked like, what you will be doing. You know, you might not even think, am I going to reach retirement? You don't need to know the answers as to what retirement will look like. Just start putting a little money aside. If you have started working at a well-established company, they usually have a pension that you contribute to every month. Contribute and never withdraw the money. This is a thing. Do not leave the job and take the withdrawal, because most people leave jobs, especially in the beginning of their career, and they're like, okay, well, you qualify to withdraw this much that you've saved, since you've been working here for 5 years, and you're like, oh, I'll take it. Leave it alone. You don't need it. Let compounding do its work, because when you are starting out, your pension savings is still not a lot of money, but it's a good chunk of money. Let it grow on its own. Transfer it to a preservation fund or to your new employer and keep adding on to it. Do not take any withdrawals. You might not know what retirement will look like, but once you do, 20, 30 years from now, you'll be like, I know what I want to do in retirement. You don't want money to be the thing holding you back.
Exactly.
Even if you realize, I want to retire 5 years earlier. I don't want to retire in my 60s. I want to retire at 50 or 55. You would have built all that money, and all that compounding would have done its work to the point where you can be like, you know what? I don't actually need to keep working. Now I know what retirement will look like, and I planned for it already. So that's a good one to remember. And also, live rent-free for as long as you can. And this is stay at your parents' house.
No.
As long as they will have you. Until they're kicking you out. Stay, I'm telling you. Because rent is expensive. Living alone is expensive. You realize, oh my God, I need a fridge. I need to put food in the fridge, electricity, water. Oh my gosh, no guys. Rent is expensive. So I would, if your parents still want you around, just stay and add a little money towards the household finances, household expenses, which will still be way lower than what you would spend living alone.
Yeah.
Because you can actually save for, say, a car once you're out. Once you're out, you can say, oh, guys, I'm moving out. I have a deposit. I found a place. I have rent for the next 6 months. Like, I am ready to go. So, I'm not coming back. Like, make no mistake about it. I have planned in advance. So stay and save your money. I don't think you need to buy immediately. This is my thing. I think buying a property maybe towards your late 20s, early 30s would be ideal. So go out there, rent a small place. Don't commit to buying, because when you're young and your career is new, you never know where you're going to move, where your job is going to take you. Now you have this whole property. No. Don't buy unless you know for sure you're staying here, you're not going anywhere. Rent, find a small place. But honestly, live rent-free as long as your parents will have you. So yes, that is how your early 20s must look like. Any questions?
Awesome. These are such valuable tips. I wish now that I'm this age, I really wish that I had more financial guidance in the beginning with how I was spending my pocket money and how I was spending at my first jobs. And even though I was earning very little at the time, I see now, looking back, I see now that I could have been maybe more stricter with myself and, put something aside, and I would have had something like an emergency fund at this moment to help me during these hard times, because these are really hard times. And I can also relate to what you said earlier, that, you're in your early 20s and you don't have a job, you're sitting at home and you go online and people are like, yeah, even though you don't have anything, even though you don't have a job, you need to save. And you're like, but how do I save on zero? How do I save when I don't even have taxi money to go from here to town? But looking back, there were things that I could have done. There were really, really things that I could have done. So how do you mentioned that you do coaching. You have some clients that you coach. How do you help your clients to really accept the fact that the way they spend money and the way they view money is their absolute responsibility? Because we do have a lot of influences around us that even if I'm complaining now and I say I don't have money, my friends will also say, oh, they also don't have money. But we are all sitting at the cafe, we're having a drink.
Cafe.
We're here chatting, we're about to buy some chips or buy some snacks or whatever, but we're all complaining like, oh man, I don't have money. So how do you help your clients become more realistic about the responsibility of their spending habits, I guess?
Okay. The only way to really put a mirror up to a client and show them, listen here, it's not that you don't have money, you just do not track your spending. You're not being honest with yourself, is to create a budget for them. I will create a whole budget for them, be like, this is where your money goes. And I will break it down percentage wise. You spend this much on this, you spend this is how you spend your money. So when you say you don't have money, it means you're just not prioritizing saving or investing. You have other priorities right now. Your priorities are going out, your priorities are shopping, your priorities are, putting on for other people, whatever the case may be. It's not that you don't have money. If you are employed, of course, I'm not talking about somebody who's unemployed.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you are employed, people just like to say, this budgeting in their head, like, oh, I know this money goes there, this money goes there, but you don't really know what's happening. Yeah. And then you are 2 weeks in and you're like, hey, what happened to my money? And I'm not a budget person in terms of like constantly looking at it every day. Okay, this is what I do. My husband and I budget once at the beginning of the year for the next 3 months. So every quarter there's the budget. Okay. So do this. If you're also not a budget person, you don't want to sit at a spreadsheet. Okay, so I will prepare a budget for clients once, and they agree to it and they say, okay, fine, yeah, I think we'll live by this. So now I would have allocated money towards spending and saving and all that, and stick to it for 3 months. Strict. And after 3 months, if there's any changes, you review it. So at the beginning of every quarter, every 3 months, review it and say, you know what, actually, I have cut out a few things. I can afford to put more. And I'm telling you, there's something about watching your money grow in a savings account that just makes you want to spend less. You're like, oh, when somebody's like, oh, let's go out, you're like, okay, I could go out and spend $300 on dinner and drinks, or I could, put it in my savings. And I've become this person. I've literally become this person where my husband will be like, oh, let's go out. I'm like, yeah, do you know how much money we spend when we go out for lunch or dinner? And I'm like, no, babe, you know what? I'm going to cook us some food at home, the food that is free, right? And then we can just go drink. And then at least, you're spending way less.
Yeah.
Instead of going there, a whole meal, 2 drinks, dessert, just living it up. I'm like, even now, like we got 2 kids. We're a four family household. So when we go out to eat, we're spending $600 upwards on one meal. I'm like, so what do? I feed the kids pop before we go. I'm like, no, baby, we're on a budget. Kids do not know any better, okay? As long as they're full and they're playing. So what do? Make sure they eat lunch at home if we're going out for lunch or dinner or whatever. Fill them up real good. When we get there, it's a juice box and some dessert, and they're playing, having the time of their life. Kids could not care either any less. And that's literally how I have done it now. And it's just a mind shift, okay? Because that's $600. So this weekend you went to the zoo, you spent $1,000 because you had to spend, you had to eat, the zoo entrance, entertainment for the kids, petrol, $1,000 gone in one weekend. The next weekend you take them out where? The next weekend you go out where? It is ridiculous the amount of money we spend going out. So yeah, I've resorted. So just a few little tweaks. I've resorted to feeding us at home. And only drinking at the club, only drinking where we're going, or having dessert and a drink, unless we're spoiling up, each other, and then we'll just go all out. But it has, those small changes can actually, you'll see the change in how much you're saving. You're like, damn, I could actually save all this money. And I'm telling you something, do not save what's left at the end of you spending. This is also what we do. We're like, oh, money in, debit orders, you go out, you what, you put petrol in the car, you do this, you do that, and then you're like, oh, okay, time to save. And there's $300-$400 left. What are you saving? Because now you still gotta go to work, you still have petrol to put in the car. What do? Just save the money before you even started using it. Draw a budget and save what you can. I think you mentioned something that I was trying to remember. This thing of having regret for what we could have done better had we known better. I live with that all the time. I have accepted it. It's not even a thing that affects me anymore. It's just now I understand that you can't look at the back. There's this saying that I saw sometime earlier this week, that like the runway at the back, if you're on a plane, is not important. If the plane is about to take off, only what's ahead of you. Yes. So I could have done 100 things better. Okay, when I got my first job, I was earning a shit ton of money. Sorry, you're gonna have to bleep that. I was earning like a bunch of money. I didn't save. I wasn't thinking about anything. I was, just me and my boyfriend, no babies. Just living it up, flying back and forth, South Africa, Namibia, South Africa.
Nice.
And then I'm like, damn, I just wasted money for no reason. I'm actually saving money more now that I earn less, which is weird. Now that I just started my business and I'm doing my own thing, obviously it's not a consistent paycheck. It comes when it comes, but I'm managing it way better than when I had a consistent paycheck. And I can't live with that regret. You can't keep looking back like, oh, I wish I had done this. Oh, I wish. What are you doing now? What have you committed to change now? Because I don't know how old you are. I am 30. How old are you?
I'm 27, 28 this year.
Okay. Yeah. I'm like turning 31, right, this year. We still have 35 years left to live if you live until, retirement age. I'm talking about retirement age. Obviously, past that, we're hoping to live past that. But I'm talking about we still have about 35 years of earning and income left. So the mistakes that I made for 3 years straight, just spending money like it was nothing, I can't sit on that. I can't dwell on that. In hindsight, it doesn't even make sense because you have 30 years to fix it.
Exactly.
30 odd years to fix it, to get it right, to make things better. So I always say, just forgive yourself. Like, just forgive yourself for not knowing better. How could you have known? Who told you?
Exactly.
Who would have told you how to do it? So it's like we're beating ourselves up over things that we weren't taught. Let it go, girl. Let it go. Let it go. Do better now.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah. Thank you so much for sitting down with me and having this discussion. discussion. It's really, reassuring, because financial literacy is something that over the last couple of years I've been dabbling in and out, like reading books and trying to figure it out. And trying to, sometimes I'm like really good with my money. I'm really strict. I'm saving up, and then something happens and I just completely, it all goes to BS. It just all goes away.
Yeah.
And then I start over again. So it's really such a challenging process, but I think I'm getting better at it. But I would like to know, what are your go-to resources for anybody who's really like at zero, or they're like me, still trying to get a handle on it? What are your go-to resources? Do you have books? Do you have podcasts? What are the places that you would advise somebody to go to really learn more about basics of financial literacy for them, for personal finance?
Last year I read this book, You're Not Broke, You're Pre-Rich by Mapalo Maku. It's a really cute book, actually. Also one of those easy reads, okay? Because I don't like if you're just learning, if you're trying to find your footing, anything that will come throw big words at you and confuse you and almost discourage you, and you're like, never mind, this isn't for me. Yeah. So yeah, there's that one. And then Warren Ingram wrote How to Make Your First Million. It's also a good one to read. These books are basic personal finance books. They just teach you basic principles and showing you a few calculations. Like if you save this much consistently to this point, you'll have this much. They'll show you how compounding works. They'll explain, inflation and interest in terms of if you're borrowing money and if you are, if you're borrowing money, and also if you are the one lending money, because there's interest when you actually put money into a bank account for saving purposes. You are lending money to the bank. That's why they pay that little interest on top. It's to reward you for keeping your money there by lending them that money. It's always very little in a bank, but just those principles that you are either paying compound interest or you're either earning compound interest. What you want to do in life always is earn. Earn compound interest, earn interest. Paying interest is the pips. But yeah, so those kinds of things. That book, those two books that I mentioned, and also Become Your Own Financial Advisor. Warren Ingram also wrote this one. I like it. Read it. And for the more investment interested people who are a bit more like, I want to understand investments, there's a really, really great book that never goes out of style. It's The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. Great book. Easy. It's an easy-ish read, but there is a bit more jargon if you're in reading about investments and things like that. Podcasts. There is the Fat Wallet Show. Just Google the Fat Wallet Show. Actually, I don't know. It's hosted by Simon Brown, and they just do not basic, a bit more in detail personal finance topics. So people will send them emails and tell them this and this is the problem that I have. How do I deal with this? How do I deal with that? It's really relatable and down to earth, and they also cuss a little. And then Money Matters. I think that's what it's called. There's Money Matters. Warren Ingram also hosts this one. There's a pattern here. I like Warren Ingram because he makes things so easy and understandable. Yeah. Okay, like it just works. And you don't have to spend a ton of money to learn. YouTube has so many free resources, podcasts, books. I know it's not good to tell people to pirate books, but people tend to send books in PDF and things like that. That happens too. Hey. So yeah, it's not impossible to learn. Go on YouTube, search what you're looking for, understand the concepts, go back. I even find myself understanding something today, and then next week I'm can't quite remember what was said, and I go back and listen to it again. And I forgot to mention this, but one thing that we must understand and leverage, especially in our 20s, even in our 30s, is we have time. We have so much time, and we must leverage that time to learn new skills so you can actually add another source of income to your life. A 9 to 5 is great. I am a 9 to 5 kind of girl. It's when I feel the most safe and secure. But I have learned that even that is not guaranteed.
Yeah.
And leverage whatever your interests are, whatever your skills are. Take a free course and start making money. Make money. Sell what people are looking to buy. So solve a problem, solve a solution for somebody, and they will pay you for it. It's easier, obviously, when you're still very much on your own, you don't have kids, things, you have all the time in the world, I think, to really just invest in yourself.
Yeah.
And really just take the time to say, I'm going to be selfish and I'm going to take care of me and, improve myself and all of that. So leverage that time. Multiple sources of income is like a lifesaver. Imagine just like 1 month you get your salary plus a little extra bonus, bam. It's awesome. I have never been a entrepreneurial girl, but life has shown me you gotta get up and do it yourself. Nobody's gonna do it for you. Nobody's gonna give it to you. So I just got kind of pushed into entrepreneurship, and honestly it was just my husband pushing because he's like a lover of all things business, and he's like, when are you gonna do it yourself? Do it yourself. And I'm like, I just want somebody to give me a job and pay me till I die. Like, this is what I want. But shame, the world is changing, and we're not like our parents who worked at a job for 30 years and retired.
Literally.
It just doesn't happen anymore. Yeah. So find ways to make more money, guys.
Yeah.
Any way, whatever way, as long as it's legal, do it. Make money.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sitting down with me and having this discussion. It was so insightful, even for me. There were some places there where you were literally coming for me, and I was like, wow, sis. Very grateful for this. Would you like to plug your business, your YouTube channel, your podcast? What would you like to plug right now?
Whatever it is that I do with my life. I have a Twitter page called it's @SecureHerBag, all lowercase, no spaces. Just @SecureHerBag. I have an Instagram page called @secure_her_bag. Everything under Secure Her Bag.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And guys, please do make sure to check out the description box down below. I will leave all the links down there for you to check out. Yeah. Thank you so much. A lot of people are talking about how to make money, how to make more money. That's great. But how many people are really talking about how to keep it, how to manage it, how to invest it, how to grow it, all that kind of thing? And that's really where the key is. You could be making $1,000, and I'm talking Namibian dollars, but you are still able to manage your money in such a way that $1,000 will make a big difference in your life compared to somebody who's making 10,000, even 50,000 Namibian dollars. And this also goes for US or whatever currency you have. So don't be scared of money. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to want it. It's okay to like it. It's okay to ask questions about it. Don't be scared of it. It's nothing to be scared of. Even if you're in high school right now and you are barely getting any kind of pocket money or whatever, maybe you get money to take to school every day. That was the system in our house. You get $5 for lunch or whatever every day. If you can save $1 per day, listen, sis, save it. 50 cents, listen, save it. First of all, it's not just about the money, it's also about the discipline, right? So it's the physical aspect of saving the money, and it's the mental exercise of growing that discipline and teaching yourself that even though this is how much I get, if I put this away, I manage and I can survive with the little that I have. And every month, if you can increase the amount that you save, that's even better. You can try it every year. Increase it by 5%, increase it by 2%, increase it by 10%. It's the discipline that counts. That discipline goes such a long way. You have no idea. I'm just going to tell you right now. You have no idea how much that discipline is going to save you and turn your entire life around. That's just from me to you, sis. Listen, if I had somebody telling me all of this, I might be your rich auntie. I could have been a rich auntie, but here I am, sis. But we live and we learn. Even if you're starting now, in your late 20s, in your early 20s, in your early 30s, late 30s, in your 40s and your 50s, right now is the best time to start saving to get on a better financial situation. Right now is the best time to start your financial literacy journey and get better with money. If you're looking for a sign, this is it.